Looking to enhance the appeal and performance of your gym with state-of-the-art equipment? Look no further than the Gym Administrator. Founded by Sal Corrente, professional wrestling manager, promoter, and author of the great book Bruno Sammartino, the autobiography of wrestling's living legend, available on Amazon.com, the Gym Administrator will spot you on that final rep and assist you every step of the way from purchase through installation, whether it be strength training, cardiovascular training, or performance enhancement. The Gym Administrator works with a wide array of leading vendors and suppliers, carefully selected to meet the diverse needs of your clientele. Service the way you remember it. Contact us at 914-494-1066 or visit our website at thegymadministrator.com, as well as all social media platforms. The Gym Administrator. All your fitness needs under one roof. Scan the barcode at the bottom of the screen to get started today.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast. Monte The Pharaoh, only seen here out of Tin Mirror Studios here in Kings Park, where we've got, it doesn't get much better than this, Jimmy. This guy, DDP, the man, the myth, the legend. Jimmy, are you excited for this one?
I'm sweating, and I got goosebumps, so I think I'm in mode.
Okay, that's fantastic. You know what sucks? My mic is off and my headset's off, and I see you two rapping. I'm like, what are these guys talking about? What are they talking about over there?
Well, that's for us to know and you to never know.
Wow, that's just not fair.
I know, I'm rough. No, it was actually some talk about the NWA and how Flair just ate up that traveling schedule. He loved doing that stuff. That's why Flair became who Flair became, because he just loved the duties that came with being an NWA champion and all the touring and everything. He just ate that stuff up. So that's basically what we were talking about.
Well, Diamond, Dallas, Page, thank you for taking your time out of your busy schedule. You were truly an icon, and thank you for coming on Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast.
Oh, good to be here, bro. Good to be here. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Nate. We had our ups and downs, but overall, big fan. When you put, as me and Jimmy were talking before we came up, talking about, he brought up Tommy Rich first and asked Tommy why he only had the title for 5 days, and he said, because I like to stay home in Atlanta.
Yeah,
and,
right.
If you had that big goal back then, man, you were the world champion, because you were all over the world. And Nate, I mean, he was born to do that, man. He was born to be the Nature Boy.
Diamond, what did you think, since we're on Flair real quick, what did you think when you saw Flair's last match? Were you shaking your head like, Rick, come on, man, stop? Because that's what I was thinking. But, I know it's hard to throw him under the bus, but did you have some reservations about, like, should Rick just stop already? I mean...
I think a lot of I was there, and I think a lot of people really want to see it, whether it's, no matter what. I mean, I was there. The people, they loved him, and
right.
It didn't really matter what he did or didn't do at the
right.
time. And, it was a really intense schedule he had too,
right.
leading right up to that, and all the, from the roasting to the, to all the autograph signings and stuff. So, but he did it because he loves to do it, man. And that will be the last time I think you actually will see him do it. And I'm just happy that he's in a good place right now, So,
okay.
I think fans really wanted to see that one. And they really, think of John Cena, he's just put out the word he's going to do like one last tour. You know, if you're gonna, and what a great way to go, because so many of the guys just disappear. Like, what happened to them? Well, they got hurt. You know, that's what happened. You know, and then they weren't seen in that spot or given that opportunity. Like, you know, a Rock, a Cena, you know, a Flair. They get to have, you know, that moment. You know, Shawn Michaels, you know, had that moment. And really, any of those guys who get to that top level, you know, I would have loved to have gone. I mean, that's why I went back and did TNA, because the WWE, when I went there at that time, that was not a good, you know, there was a point to be proven, and they were going to beat down whoever the WWE, you know, WCW guy was. It wouldn't have mattered if it was me or, you know, Sting or whoever that one guy, that first guy to come in. And I didn't really think about it like that when I, you know, until I got there. Then I realized, oh, I was on Stone Cold's podcast, but like right when he got towards the end of it, and I did so many of them because we're friends. But when they built them the actual set and everything out of his place in Nevada, right? These are outside of Reno. You know, he asked me, he goes, "Did you realize how much heat WCW had coming in?" And I was like, no, I did not. I knew when I got there, though. And
there you go.
And you know, and then I understood, like, okay, you can't take this personal. And what really comes down to is that for me personally, I knew I was a Hall of Famer, and I knew if I would have, you know, bitched and complained like so many of the boys have done, you know, not naming any names, but that's not who I am. And the really important thing that I learned, like I always say, okay, what did you learn from that? And what I learned from that made me the businessman that I am today. Like, I had something they really wanted. I was seen as the face of WCW. Of course, Sting was the franchise, Goldberg was the phenom, but I was the guy who came from nothing,
right,
and built myself up to be one of the best in the freaking world at what we do. And I never went to NWO. I never had any moment where I wasn't WCW. And that was very valuable. And I undervalued that to myself, mainly because, when I left there, WCW, like everybody, well, they still were paying us, and they would have paid me for a year and a half. They owed me like, I don't know, I can't remember what it was, 1.7 million, something like that. And I left, maybe it was 1.6 million, whatever the hell it was. All I can tell you is I left $487,000 on the table because I was 45 and a half at the time. You know, how much longer could I go at that run? My body was beat up. You know, even though DDP Yoga was keeping me going, you know, I always thought about where am I going to be at 58 and 68 and 78, 88. You know, I always thought about that shit, you know? So when I came in there and it didn't work the way I wanted to, I had to ask myself, okay, what did you learn from that? And what I learned from that was that when you really value yourself and you know your product, you know, your brand has value at a different level, you can't be afraid to walk away from the table. Because when Shane and Vince said to me, here's what we want for you. And we want you to be the stalker and want you to stalk Undertaker's wife. And my first ex-wife, Kimberly, is sitting right next to me, right across from Vince. Now, if you knew how hard I had to fight for everything I got in WCW, when I say, if I was being me right then, like 100% me, I would have said, Vince, are you fucking kidding me? Are you looking at my wife? Like,
Right.
you want me to stalk some other guy's wife when I have the most beautiful woman, on the planet?
Yeah.
Like that's what I would have said. And because I didn't think there was any heat coming in, I didn't see it. Why would I have heat?
Right.
No, because I was WCW, and we almost put them out of business.
Well, Dallas,
we were this close.
That's what I want to ask you. Did that WWE crew have the right, like the right to be angry at you guys? Because you were in the back there. Were you guys actually trying to put them out of business?
I wasn't. Are you kidding me? I'm one of the boys. Why would I? I mean, I was so happy when Cody did what he did and created this hype behind him when he left the WWE and did what he did. Right there, I called him up. I said, come down and see me. And he came down to the Performance Center, and I've got like a production company, bro. I'm not, I just don't film workouts and shit. I mean, I've got a full-blown production company. The Resurrection of Jake the Snake. We did everything. We filmed it. We edited, sound, color, everything. That was my company, Comeback Studios. We did Relentless, another one. We're about to put out a show called Change or Die. That was a docu-series, and you've already seen the results from Butterbean and Bagwell. And there's another girl who had some incredible results. But my point is that we're a big production company. And I said to Cody, I said, let's start doing those videos like at a different level than what the Young Bucks are doing. Because the Young Bucks had like 100,000 people following them, and they were building their own brand. And it was a hell of a brand. And Cody was with them. So we started doing videos with him. And then it cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars again because I wanted to help Cody. And I tried not to offend the WWE by helping him and doing stuff with him. I never took a payoff ever, except when they asked me if I wanted to wrestle. And to be perfectly honest, the only reason that ever happened was because one night I was drinking and I said, I think we got one more shot. We got one more shot with me here. And, I think I'd like to do something. This is like 2019, right? And I said, and I've never really talked about this. And I said, I want to. I don't want to do a single, but I'll do a tag. So let's think about what we'll do with that. And the next morning, I called him up. I said, "Hey, bro, I think I got a little too buzzed. It was talking too much shit last night." Because again, I'm 68 now, and at that time I was 63, about to be 64, like 2 months away, and 3 months away, and I always think about, where will I be at 78, 88, 98, 108? Where will I be? What will I be feeling? Right now, I feel fucking great. And I'm still a Ferrari. I just got 998,000 miles on me. So what ended up happening is I went on there and did that stuff with Code. And if he needed me to walk him to the ring and all in, and hell yeah, I'll do that, And then I realized 2020, and you have to understand, I tried to wrestle in 1979. I had 3 matches. I worked for like 2.5 months, 1 day a week. That these guys ever put me in the ring was just because I looked like somebody. I didn't have any of the knowledge or anything. And on the 3rd match, I went over the top rope and I torched my knee, and my doc was like, "Listen, take off a month or 2, then you can go back to that crazy shit you're doing, but take off a month or 2." And I got a chance. I've been working in the bar business since I was 17. I got a chance to run my first little rock and roll club, and now I'm the manager. And as a kid, being a bouncer, fucking, and then a bartender. But when I was a bouncer, and before I was a bouncer who wore a shirt that said Archstocks Royal Banner, before I wore that shirt, when I was 18, trying to get laid, I couldn't get laid with a fistful of pardons with a woman's prison. You know, I mean, it's fucking, that ain't happening. But as soon as I put that fucking shirt on, pussy all over me.
That's all it takes is a shirt, Jimmy. That's all it takes is a shirt.
There you go.
With a club, in
right.
a hot club.
Yeah.
But the guy who I really wanted to be was the fucking manager, because the manager, he gets to buy the drinks, he gets the free. I mean, he's the guy. He's the host. He's got pussy all over him. Like, I want that job.
Me too.
So at 23, I got that job.
Yeah.
And the booze, the broads, and the party took me off in a different direction. And I watched wrestling occasionally. And then when I heard about WrestleMania, I was so pissed at myself for not staying focused in following the dream. And I fuck wrestling. I stopped watching wrestling. And then one night I'm flicking the channels and I see this dude with a leather coat and a boa and a do-rag and these crazy sunglasses, and he's with my boy Gorilla Monsoon. And I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? He's got such energy. It was Jesse the Body Ventura. And now he's pulled me in, and who's the first match? A guy walks out with a bag over his shoulder and a Fu Manchu. And I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? And it's Jake the Snake. And just the way he sauntered towards the ring, like, that motherfucker looked serious as shit, right? Then I watch him get in the ring, and I can't even see through his shit. You know, and I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? And then he cuts the fucking promo, and I'm like, okay. As crazy as this sounds, I call my buddy up, John Shipley, who's the guy. We met Gorilla Monsoon after our matches. He gave us the name of Tito Torres, this guy in Jersey City. And he would go on to work Memphis and a couple other federations before, little small, you know, some of the promotions before he, you know, packed it in. But I called him up and I said, Shipley, did I miss something? He goes, what are you talking about? I go, about the business. I go, have you seen this guy, Jake the Snake, work? He's like, yeah, man, he's incredible. I said, his shit looks real. He goes, don't be a fucking mark. I go, but his shit looks real. So now I'm a wrestling fan again, but I'm running a big ass club. It's not 1979, it's 1986. And I'm running a big ass club in Fort Myers, Florida. And one night, Jake the Snake walks in my club. If you worked Miami and then Tampa, because that would be like the route. If you worked Miami and then Tampa, that's 300 miles. And Fort Myers is almost right in the middle. And friggin' Jake fucking came walking in. And when I friggin' walked up to him, the place is packed. I walk up to him and it's gotta be him. I just walked up to him and I go, hey man, you Jake the Snake Roberts? Who wants to know? I said, the guy. I said, the guy who runs this place. He said, yes. What can I do for you? I said, what are we drinking? And we got fucked up. I was looking for a picture. You can see I got pictures everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep talking while I see if I can find this one picture. So one night I'm on Facebook and I see this thing pop up and it's a picture and I'm looking for it now. I'm not finding it, but it's a picture of me. No, that's not it. Me and Ted DiBiase and Luke the bushwhacker. Oh
Okay.
God, I was like, and on his Facebook post, it says DDP before he's DDP. And you see me with my blowing hair. I can't believe I can't find that picture. It's somewhere around here. I've been shuffling shit around. But later that night, this is me and Ted DiBiase doing upside down tequila shooters. This is after the club is closed. And it was so funny. He came here to work with me and do DDP Yoga. And his wife, Mel, came with him. And he said, the first time I met Dallas, I was in Fort Myers, Florida, going through there. And I heard that he took care of the boys and made it a comfortable spot. And there was never any trouble because Jake had put me over, you know? And we went there and God, he treated us so great. And then at the end of the night, we're doing upside down tequila shooters. While he finishes telling that story, I walk off the deck and I got like my daughters there and my girl, my wife, Page McMahon. My wife's first name is Paige. Her
Last name McMahon.
McMahon. When Jericho heard that, he spit the beer out of, not the beer, but the water out of his mouth. He went, what? It was classic. But I walk downstairs and I come back with a picture and I go, you mean this bottle of tequila? And I show him the picture. And, oh, he popped. He popped.
Dallas, let me ask you a question. I want to reel you back a little bit because, you mentioned how you were supporting the boys, and I totally get that. But you also had a very close relationship with Eric Bischoff, right, who's running the show. So,
well, he's not in the beginning. Not in the beginning. I didn't have a close relationship with him.
Well, let me hit you with this two-pronged question. Number one, you said you left $486,000 on the table. Does Kimberly start screaming at you, like, what are you doing, number one? And wait, hold on. Number two, you do build a relationship with Bischoff. Was he trying to get the WWE out of business? And were you like, hey, bro, come on, let's just try to make our own way around here?
Well, let's answer the first part first. First of all, Bischoff and I were not tight when I met him. I met in a pull-apart fight that got pulled apart, and my Pat Tanaka and Paul Diamond, I got a great picture of that. This is the very first time I ever showed up in the AWA. I just saw this picture when I was looking for a picture of Luke. This is like the first day in the AWA.
Oh.
And the only reason I know it's the first day because that blonde was only the Diamond Doll once. Her name was Leanne. And that's the only reason I know it's the first day. But Pat and Paul like pushed me out. What the hell are you doing? He's office. And later that night, I'm down, went to the diner and shit. So I'm kind of sober, get off the elevator with Pat and Paul, and he's there again, Bischoff, and he starts in on me again. They're like, go to your room. And I waited to see what room he was walking in. All right, I go to my room. Cooler heads prevail, right? Next morning, I wake up. I want to go bang on his door and see how tough he is right now. Because I was very irritated by that whole thing. And as I'm walking to the door, putting on my T-shirt, I hear, and I think it's, of course, it's the maid. And I open the door, and it's him. And this is who Eric Bischoff is. Like, at his root, at his soul, he's one of the realest cats I have ever known. He says to me, I heard I was a real asshole last night. I'm sure he remembers this differently, but this is how it happened as far as I'm concerned. And I said, yeah, you were. As a matter of fact, I was just on your room to see you. And Bischoff says, I saved you the walk. And he says, and this is the character of Eric Bischoff. He says, there's two ways we can handle this. One, well, accept my apology and shake my hand. Two, he pulled his front three teeth out. Because he'd been fighting since he was little. And he was like a third-degree black belt. And this cat wasn't afraid of anybody. He pulled he pulled his teeth out of his mouth and he said, punch me in the mouth. Whatever you think is fair, I'm good with it. And I popped. I've been running clubs at this time since I was 23 and I'm 31 at the time. I've heard every fucking excuse you can hear to get back into a club. But I never heard that one. I said, dude, I'd much rather shake your hand. And that was that. And then later he would come to WCW, and Dusty heard that Jim Herd was bringing in this young guy from the AWA. And they needed a new facelift, for the smaller operations, the syndicated stuff, and you're going to give him a shot. And Dusty's like, do you remember him? I go, the name sounds familiar, but I don't remember him. And then he's really late, and I got to go do TV. And when he gets to CNN Tower, like, I'm really late, but we got to do this tryout. And as soon as he walks in the door, even though he looks like a Ken doll now, like when he knocked on my door, his hair was down to his shoulders. It was silver. He was wearing a leather jacket. Like, he was rode hard and put away wet. That's the way he was when he came to my door. Bottom line is, this time he looks like a damn Ken doll. He looks like a model. Got the short black hair. He looks handsome hell. But I recognize his eyes. And as soon as he walks in, I'm like, hey, man. Didn't even have to say anything. We didn't have any time. I said, great to see you, man. Listen, we got to get in the booth. We got to knock this out. So I said, let's play this. Maybe it's a 6-minute match. And we got done. And Dusty had said to me, make sure he does play-by-play. And, of course, you do the color. He said, if you like him, help him out. If you don't, let him just bury himself. I said, okay. So we get done with that task. And I looked at him. I said, so let me ask you a question. He said, sure. I said, how bad do you need this job? He goes, bad. I shit the bed in New York. Did Vince ever go? He said, our wife is pregnant with our second kid. I need this job. I said, okay, so this is what Dusty told me. You do the play-by-play because you're doing color with me here. I'll do the color. Let's do it again. A minute into it, I said, stop the tape. I said, you don't know how to do play-by-play, do you? He said, that's not what we did up there. Like, we talked about the match and the guys. And I said, okay, here's the deal. Play the tape. Start from the beginning again. All right, collar and elbow lock up. Boom, pulls him into a headlock. He goes, takes it up the top wrist lock. Oh, big elbow. Boom. Guy takes a bump out the floor. Now, hold on. This is what he's doing. He's clearing his head. I'll fill in the color. Let's try it. He nails it perfect. I go to the next phase. I do that. And it's much longer talking stuff. He nails it. Finally, we get done with it, probably about 6 times going through it. I go, I think he's ready. Let's give it a shot. And he goes, hold on a second. Can I ask you a question? I said, yeah. He goes, do you remember me? I said, yeah, you're the guy I almost got in a fight with in the AWA. He goes, wow. Just checking. Like, he thought he was toast. Because a lot of guys in all businesses, but especially ours, when you're down below and that guy fucking beats you down, when you get above, you beat him down. That's not who I am, though. And I never change who I am because of the way other people act. So that was the beginning of a relationship with me and Bischoff that would last a lifetime. I mean, Dusty Rhodes' wife, Michelle, Cody's mom, she sold me a house on one side of the street. She didn't even know, because Atlanta's so big, she didn't realize she sold one to him and me on opposite sides of the street within a week of each other. Like, we were supposed to be together. and at the ultimate bottom of everything. So the relationship with me and Bischoff is real. Now, when he put me in the Hall of Fame, he told people that being his friend was not an advantage when it came to making money. He gave me a job because when I was working with Bill Watts, when I tore my rotator cuff, after 9 months of work in the ring, he said I knew he was going to let me go. So I just told him, I'm going to let myself go before you let me go, Bill. But here's all the things I'm going to do, and you're going to want me back. By that time, Bischoff was in a spot where he could give me a job a year later, but I needed that year to work with this guy, Jake the Snake Roberts, the guy who pulled me in to the business when I wasn't a fan anymore. He made me want to watch again. And this guy would walk into my club and then later become one of my closest friends. And between him and this guy, without Dusty Rhodes, there is no Diamond Dallas Page. Without those two cats. So I had two of the best mentors that you could have. And I needed that time to get away from WCW, just like Cody needed that time to get away from the WWE, only to come back and look at him now. And like I said, it cost me when it became AEW, well, and I was involved, no more action figures, no more game, literally cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars to do that. Now, granted, I did make money with my company because we did anything that you remember how good AEW was storyline in the beginning? You remember?
In the beginning, yeah.
Yeah, in the beginning. And
right.
You know who was in charge then? Cody Rhodes was calling the shots. But Diamond Dallas Page's crew were filming all the video. Anything you didn't see in the ring was Comeback Studios. Cody still today, you know, if he's got to do anything, he comes over to the studio, he shoots it there. You know, he does any PR. It's made it so much easier on him, you know, than going to someplace that he doesn't know. Where here he gets treated like a king. You can use my company whenever he needs them. And, you know, again, it cost me a lot of money, but it was worth it because of what happened. And I'm going to tell you how classy, I just got a text. I'm going to tell you how classy Triple H is too. This guy is running a $1 billion company. And I went to the Rumble and I wanted to see him just to tell him what I was doing with Lex, and didn't get a chance to. And I just texted him, "Hey, Paul, just wanted to say, man, I would love to see you, but I know you were covered up. But what a great show! I mean, I thought the SummerSlam was great, and it elevated. I mean, you got Damian Priest lose the match and be more over than he was if he won the match.
Right.
I mean,
right.
That's the beauty. That's the beauty of wrestling. Like that's Stone Cold Steve Austin and Bret Hart. Bret Hart beats him, but Stone Cold goes boom and Goldberg. Like, I bet you if Billy had a chance, he would like to have taken the Diamond Cutter and got beat instead of a taser because I think it would have gone full circle. But I'm not complaining at all, in any way, shape, or form. I thought Kevin's booking on that was brilliant because he needed, at that point, he needed something to take him down. And him and Scott together to take him down, I thought it was good. I thought it was really good booking. But I would love to have been that guy to take it and then give it back to him on Monday, because I lost that match, but that elevated me so much because they show what I could do with a guy who'd been working 15 months. Like that's his best match. And he'll tell everybody that. And it's one of my favorite matches.
It's a great match. Great match.
It really is.
How did you, on the surface, Goldberg is obviously known in the past for being green or whatever. He's not exactly Bret Hart, but I find it fascinating that Goldberg's greatest WCW match was against you. Did you guys prep much for that match? I mean, it was a great match.
Yes, and it's so funny, 'cause me and Bill, I go back to being with Bischoff in a strip joint in Atlanta, and we're having a good time. And I meet this guy, Bill Goldberg, full head of hair, plays for the Falcons, and we're friggin' doing shopping. It was like bro buddies, bar buddies, same like when I met Jake, only a lot different. But at some point, I said to him, I'm like, bro, you need to be in our business. Like, I know you're playing football, but this is 5 years before he comes in. Maybe it's 4 years. It's 4 or 5 years before. I mean, I get his number. We exchange numbers. We friggin', let me finish the Triple H story. I went to a different direction. My point is I text him that the day after SummerSlam. Later that day, I get a text back. Would love to have seen you, bro. Sorry I missed you. Like, where did he get the time? Even I didn't expect a text back. I expected just like one of a billion texts he got. But that's how I judge people, like how much character they have. You know what I mean? Like, and he has proven himself way to me over and over and over and over again on so many different levels, because there's a reason why Paul Levesque, and there's always Triple H to me because I love that name. He's the one who called me when I was getting inducted, and they had been wanting to catch somebody and surprise them, because I was filming a original, the Positively Living biography that they did on me, and it was in October. And nobody finds out who's in the Hall of Fame until January or February. I mean, they really keep it tight. So I swear to you, X-Pac and so Bully Ray too, they both asked me, come on, you had to know. I go, bro, I had no idea. And that's what they were looking for. So they moved me where we were just filming. They did the sunset shot, and they're like, okay, we're going to shoot. Oh, hold on. Hey, boss wants to talk to you. Boss, pick it up in his paw. And we just say, what do you have, man? How's it going? Oh, it's going really good. Blah, blah, blah. We're talking. And then he says, what you did with your career, man. He's like, coming in at 35 and a half years old, like I'm 22 and I'm looking at you. I'm like, is he crazy? He thinks he's going to actually get a spot doing this? Like, and then he went in and he starts putting me over, but you worked your ass off and you didn't let anything hold you down. And at some point I start thinking, oh, is this that call? Is this that call? And dude, I welled up, and then I said, I wish Dusty was here. That was the only thing that was, heart-wrenching for me, bittersweet. And Bischoff mentioned that when he started it, so it was just a great moment, and they captured it on film.
Unbelievable.
Simon, did you raise
go ahead, Jim.
an eyebrow when Cody wound up going back to WWE? Because I thought to myself, how could AEW let him go? And it seems like AEW is slipping off the rails. Forgive me, but that's the way it seems to me. Is it too much of the wrestlers running it at this point? I don't expect you to throw them under the bus, but coming from a fan, it seems like it's, that's the situation here. How could they let Cody go? That's crazy.
I don't know how you do that, especially when, like, nobody in this type of scenario is closer to him than me. Besides his wife and his mom and his sister, but
sure,
the business. And he told me what was happening. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And then I knew about the Vince call. And didn't until after he did it, and he came, and he told me, and like, there's areas there. The biggest area I fucked up in, and I started to say this earlier when I was talking about I'm meeting with Vince, and wants to stalk Cake's wife, and I gave him the idea, the People's Champion versus the People's Champion. That was the money. That was the money between the two companies, bigger than anything that they could have done. And at some point, when I can't talk them out of it, I go, how about this? And I said it in a way, like I meet The Rock probably about a year and a half before this. This is before he explodes, but he's on that rocket, right? And I'm at a show because I'm going to see Big Show, and I went to WWE at the Toronto Blue Jays building, where they play baseball. And I'd seen Pat Patterson earlier on the plane, and he really put me over because Pat saw my tape come in to WWE as a manager. And they're like, "Guy, he's great. He's got a great rap. Looks great, but he's like Andre the Giant as a manager." I was dead. That was never going to happen. And I would later meet Pat again when Warrior and Hogan were working together. They hadn't worked there yet, but they were going down working things out. And I saw Pat again because I'm working for Florida Championship Wrestling at the time. Still running my nightclub because I ain't making any money in wrestling. It costs me money to be Diamond Dallas Page. But I said, Pat, do you mind if I come by? I raised Big Show in this business. I mean, I got him ready for Hogan. Got down to power plant. They weren't using me. So the reason why you saw me get better and better and better is because I was teaching and teaching and teaching. And as I taught, I was learning how to, do this psychology. And I had Jake's ear. I had Dusty's ear. And as I said to him, as I was getting, do you care if I come by? Because none of the boys went to either companies, unless they were looking for a job, and I wasn't looking for a job. I just signed a multi-million-dollar 3-year deal. And I did come by, and they rushed me right up to Big Show's suite. And he was the first intermission main event as a champ. And ain't nobody following The Rock at that point, where he's going to. And so when Show got up there, I said, let's stick around. I want to watch The Rock. I've never seen him in a house show. I want to see what this is like. Go downstairs. We're getting ready to leave. Big Show goes, "Hey, Rock, you in here?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, great. I got some huge mark who's dying to meet you." And I said, "I don't want to meet you unless you're naked and you're all sudsed up like the Michelin Man." And, when you hear someone's voice, somewhere where you don't expect it, but you know that voice, but you don't. Not here. And I swear to you, Rock stuck his head around the corner, and he was full of suds. Like the Michelin Man, he was all suds up. and he goes, "Oh, Diamond. Oh, I'll be out in a minute." I'm like, "Take your time, bro." And when he came out, I told him that, Jake was booking when he came in. And it's in 96, right? And he called me and he said, "Wait till you see this guy, Rocky Maivia." Bro, he's like, "I don't know if I want to fight him or fuck him."
Wow. Wow.
And fucking Rock popped. And he said, "That sounds like something Jake would say."
Unbelievable.
I said, he told me you were going to be one of the biggest names in the business. He told me that Steve Austin, when he was the ring bearer, because what he saw in ECW was going to be one of the biggest stars in the business. And he actually said it to me in 1993 when he I don't know how the fuck he saw that, because not me or anyone else did. But he told me, "I just keep doing what I'm doing."
Did you
I wanna
tell?
be
Did
one
you
of the
tell
biggest
him
names
like?
in the
Did you say
business.
you're crazy? That I don't see it at all, or
Um, it was said in a. It came out of a phone call that he was getting me booked because Jake would get him. You have to understand, Jake had called me after I was like, he heard about 2 months out of my surgery. And I just needed another 2 more months or so to get ready, but I'm not going to come back to WCW because I've lost that job. That I know. And I'm going to work the independents and I'm going to figure out, never thinking that Jake's going to call me, even though we drove him around, me and Kevin Nash. We drove. I did find a picture over here. I just saw this picture. Let me pull this up. It's like, what do you call it? Show and tell. Where the hell that picture go? Of me and Nash. I can't find it now.
It's underneath the Watergate photos.
that's pretty funny.
I just had that damn picture.
Look at all of these pictures, Mike. He's got like 8,000.
I know, man. It's like, my God.
Like crazy. I had a picture of me and Nash as Vinny Vegas, Diamond Dallas Page, and Scotty Bingo Flamingo. Scotty Raven. And that was, but me and Nash used to drive Jake to the shows because remember when he was in WCW for like 3 months?
Right. When he came with that leather jacket, right? He came in out of nowhere.
Right.
Right?
And he came down to the power plant. And if I wasn't on the road, I was in the power plant. That's the predecessor to what is today the Performance Center down there in Florida. And I hear Page. And back then, everybody knew me as Page J. Because my dad was Page 1, and I ain't being Page 2 to anybody. And my dad would be around the club because he liked the cocktail and liked the ladies and blah, blah, blah. But I hear Page, and I turn around, I see Jake. I go, Jake. He's like, fuck, man. He goes, I thought that was you, but I had no idea. Like, he had no idea. I never talked about working. You know, he came into my club 2 or 3 times, and then we ended up, me and Kev were tagging together at that time, and, you know, we'd drive. We'd get the car. Jake would sit in the back, you know, drink beer. And so when I hurt my shoulder, Jake had called me to see how I was doing. And he told me him and Cheryl had broken up and he was living in a hotel. And like where most people, you know, you're living in a hotel, like, oh man, that's rough. But we lived in hotels, like 25 nights a month. We're living in a fucking hotel, right? So, but I was still only in the business for like 2 years at that point. So I didn't really feel that like you would if you were Jay, because like, I'm at the Marriott, I'm good.
Right.
And I went to go see him, and before I left, I asked Kimberly if he would mind if Jake stayed downstairs, you know, in our bedroom. We got downstairs, and you know, until he finds a place to live. And I said, honey, he can really help me, you know, and I really believe I can help him. Because I could see where Jake was at that point, and I didn't know how bad, but I knew I could help him. And because I've been this motherfucker my whole life, like the guy who's helping different people my whole life. And so Jake moved in. He didn't leave for 3 months. And the only reason he finally left was because he lost a 12-foot black cobra in my fucking house. And Kimberly's like, he has got to go, you know. But one of the things that Jake said that was so real and so powerful, I said, man, as soon as I get this sling off my shoulder and shit, man, and I get to feeling right, man, I go, I can't wait to get in the ring with you. And he said, listen, you already know how to do all the moves. I've got 5 moves. You got like 105. And you do them well. You execute them well. You just don't know when to do them or why to do them. And he goes, you're going to learn more sitting on the couch with me watching those matches that you tape, and I taped, Abe, every fucking single match. And I'm so bummed, not bummed, but oh man, God, if I had that, I had Austin doing color. I had Raven and Nash, Regal. I had some of the and they would bust my balls so bad, on the tape behind me because they would do color for. Oh, we used to have such a good time. We're doing 3 in a room. Someone's got the cot, which is normally me, and we'd be drinking beers and watching the matches back from that night. And that was a huge learning curve. But to be able to take those, when Jake was gone and he got back with Cheryl, which unbelievable, he's back with Cheryl again. And they are so in love because Jake is finally the guy that Cheryl dreamed he could be. And he's been sober for over 10 years now, bro. So like Jake, this Jake I've gotten to know over the last 8 years has been pretty amazing. And a brother for life. But he'd be back with Cheryl, and I would drive out to Lawrence, Georgia, and play my matches for him. And some of it was decent, and most of it was like, what the fuck was that? Like, why would you do that? And he'd make me figure it out. Then the day I took a diamond cutter on an enhancement guy out of nowhere, he smiled, took a big toke of a cigarette, and went, now you're getting it. And that was the beginning of where I was going to be. And having him and Dusty in my ear at different points was so pivotal. And especially Dusty when it came to vision, like visionary shit.
Right.
And, seeing it. I always say, people who say, I'll believe it when I see it. Those fuckers never see shit. But the people who say, I believe it because I see it. Those are the game changers. And I saw it. And like one time with Dusty, I was just venting my fucking ass off. I was just like so over the booking committee and not seeing what I was doing. This is like November 1994. And I'm really getting like, not good, but I'm getting pretty good. Like I deserve more than the bottom fucking curtain jerking spot. The second I would have been happy with, but I'm shooting for that Rick Rude, that Jake Roberts spot. Because whenever those guys went out there, you did not know who the fuck was going over. And I don't mean them together. I'm talking about whoever they got in the ring with, Rick or Jake. You had no fucking idea who was going over. And that's what I wanted, that element of doubt. And I said to Dusty, one of my favorite stories, I said, Dream, I know I'm never going to be you or Rick or Hulk. I know I'm never going to be the world champion. But the fucking bookers, they went, damn it, enough. What did you just say? And now I feel kind of stupid, right? I'm like, well, come on, Dusty. I know I'm never going to be you or Rick. And he goes, no, D, what did you say after that? I said, well, I know I'm never going to be the world champion. He said, what the fuck are you doing it for? Dallas, if you don't think that you deserve to be a shot in the future of being the world champion, then you need to get the fuck out of our business right now. And I literally felt his hand come through the phone and just bitch slap me. And he kept at me. But I can't tell you a thing he says after that. But I can tell you exactly what the fuck I did. I wrote down, I will be the world champion 5 years or less. And it was 4 years, 4 months, and 14 days. And the craziest part is I tell this story when people get cameos from me because they're looking for motivation and belief in themselves. And that night was maybe the second four-way dance that I'd ever seen in WCW. And I get in the ring with Rick and Hulk and Sting. Like, what are the fucking odds of 4 years, 4 months, and 14 days earlier, me saying, I'm never going to be Rick or you or Hulk? But yet I get in the ring with Rick and Hulk and the franchise Sting and the most decorated cat of our time. We were talking about him earlier, the one and only Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Doesn't give me a screw job finish. He takes a diamond cutter in the middle. 1, 2, 3. Wow. And I thank Rick. I thank Rick later. I thanked him at the Hall of Fame because I didn't really, I thanked him, but I didn't thank him the way I needed to. And when I went into the Hall of Fame, I told him, I was like, dude, none of that was lost on me, man. Like, you, Ric Flair, put me one step closer to this Hall of Fame, to this podium right here. And that's the kind of shit that Dusty has done for so many people, but I'm the inside of the inside of the inside of the hand. He had 5 friends. You could count them on 5 fingers. Like, everybody was his friend. But he had 5 people he counted on. And Cody had called me the day he left us. And he said, Dusty wanted you to know. Because he would call him Dusty a lot. He would call him Dad too. But to me, sometimes it was more Dusty. And he said, Dusty wanted you to know. He had 5 of his closest friends on the hand. 5 of them. He said, some people fell off the hand. And I'd never heard this part. And Cody said, Dallas has never fallen off the hand.
It's an amazing story, Dallas. Bob Cook, the wrestler out there, says, you were one of the hardest workers he's ever saw. You worked hard every TV taping. Pretty amazing. Dallas, I got to ask.
Bob Cook.
Bob Cook's a good man.
He was a great guy to work with, and a lot of talent. I mean, he really got the business.
Dallas, time flies by, right? You're an icon in wrestling. But, if people haven't seen it, I'm sure they all have, when you were on a Shark Tank with Arthur Boorman, I think I'm pronouncing that right?
Yeah. You got it right.
It's an amazing video of this gentleman, way overweight. What you did with him and what you did together was incredible. But the question I have for you haven't. First of all, you could just tell the positivity that you bring to this world, your friends, just by this interview. But for Diamond Dallas Page, which is more rewarding, your professional wrestling career or what you've done for the human race?
It's kind of funny. You guys know who Brian Alvarez is, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sure.
So Brian did, before it was called DDP Yoga or DDPY. Why? Because I want people to stop calling it just fucking yoga, but it's not. But back then I called it YRG, Yoga for Regular Guys, right? And Brian was one of the guys who did it. He was a worker. He was beating up his body. And at some point, and I got to get the years right, because we've been successful as fuck for the last 13 years, coming up on 14 years. And it was 8 years before that. It took 8. We were an 8-year overnight success. And I had $548,000 in it before I took a dime. And so it's probably, if we've been successful, say 14 years, it was 16 years ago. I'm doing an interview with Brian Alvarez. And he says, where is Diamond Dallas Page 5 years from now? And I said, honestly, Brian, I am the new Jack Mullane meets Tony Robbins meets straight Richard Simmons. And he popped on that. And I said, I honestly believe in the next 5 years, DDP Yoga, I would said YRG at the time, but DDP Yoga is going to overshadow my wrestling career. He said, what? Now he'd done the program. All he'd seen is DVDs at this time. He hadn't seen a whole system I built. He hadn't seen the app with 500 workouts and food, 3 different food plans and inspiration out the ears, and to keep people accountable, or our community, which is 78,000 people strong, like that really care and help each other. He hadn't seen any of that. And he went, D, come on. That's a bold statement. Like, you had a hell of a run. I said, I know. I said, but I really think, you see, Arthur had already happened. It just hadn't gone viral yet. In 2007, I started working with Arthur Borman. And I got to try, let me see if I can find, oh, here it is right here. Let me just show for people who are watching this. Oh God, so there's so many pictures I've got here. Normally I have it right up on top. I'm not finding it. Diamond cutters, celebrities. Let me find, because they'll really put this right. Here it is, Arthur Borman. So every single person who got my program, when I first put it out in 2000, end of 2005, going into 2006, every single person who invested in a program got an email from me. Now, it was a cut and paste email, but it was from me because it was just me for 8 years. And I sent them a thing saying, hey, thank you so much for believing in me. I so appreciate you investing in, yoga for regular guys. And, I'm not trying to sell you anything. You already invested in a program. But what I would, if you could take the time, I got 6 questions here. And people thought, bullshit. This is not Diamond Dallas Page. This is some automatic response. No, today it is. Yeah, today it is, but not back then. So I get these answers back from this cat named Arthur Borman. And I said, I read it and I was like, oh my God, dude, thank you so much for taking the time to answer these questions like this. I said, it sounds like you need some help. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself? And I'll paraphrase. He said, morbidly obese, 100% disabled veteran, relegated to thinking of myself as a piece of furniture. Those are the 3 things that stuck out to me. And I'd already been to Iraq once already. No, twice, on 2 separate tours for 13 days to see the troops. I would later go one more time and then Afghanistan on one. And that was with Jimmy Hart, Greg Hammond Valentine, and the late, great Nikita Koloff. No, not Nikita, Nikolai Volkov. Screwed that up.
I was about to say, did Nikita pass? I didn't know about it.
No. Let's not do that. Nikolai, who was such a sweet man. So, I send him that, you have some, tell me about yourself. I sent it back to him. I said, send me some pictures. And he sent me this picture and What the hell's that? Get that out of there. Oh, damn it. Hold on. Oh, there it goes. All right. He sent me this picture and that picture. So I'm like, damn. I wasn't worried about the knee braces or the weight. I was worried about those cuffs, those canes that he walked on. He told me he'd been walking on those canes for 15 years. So I sent him one of my 3 food plans. Like now there's 90-day food plans, like that go with the app. Like, you want to know what to eat, how to cook it? My daughter, Brittany, will show you how to cook it, give you the recipe, and go buy these things at the store if you want to get them. Like, we do everything for you. So back then I didn't do any of that, but I sent him the food plan. If he writes back, I think I could do it, or I'll give it a shot, I would have wrote, awesome. Keep me posted. He didn't write that. He wrote, I can do this. I said, send me your phone number. That's the first person I ever called that did my program that I didn't know at all. Not through anybody. I'd meet people through friends of mine, help them, but it came out of nowhere. And I think personally, God, or whoever's running my video game, I call him God. I said, I believe God sent him to me and me to him. And this would be, for anybody's watching, just to say, if you've never seen the video, okay, he goes from that guy in 10 months to that guy.
Amazing.
Wow.
From
Amazing.
that guy,
Wow.
from that guy to that guy. From that guy to that guy, from this guy. This is my favorite picture, though. I'm like, Arthur, why is your son holding on to you? He said, because I'll fall. Not anymore.
Jesus.
From this guy to this guy. Now, this is my favorite picture, though, of all. In 10 months, he lost 140 pounds. More importantly, he lost the knee braces, the back brace, and the wraparound canes, not just to walk, but run. In 12 months, he sent me a picture with Warren, who did his first video that about 200,000 people saw. This is a picture to celebrate his 1-year anniversary with Warren standing on his back in plank. That's how much my program can strengthen your body. That's the best example I could give ever.
So it's safe to say that that's the love of your life then, huh?
You know, I loved my run. It was such a fantasy. You know, it could never happen today. Not the way I came in and be a manager, and no one will ever repeat that. It's just impossible. It's impossible, you know. But I do liken what happened in my career, and I love what's happening in the last year or two with Sami Zayn. And Eric Bischoff was on 83 Weeks and said, I liken this push that's happening from the people for Sami. I liken it to watching what happened with Diamond Dallas Page. You know, the people's guy, you know, and people, they love Sami. And he ain't the biggest guy, he ain't the strongest guy, but man, that cat can work his ass off. And he's freaking, you gravitate towards him because of his belief in himself. And the other guy, they brought it up at WrestleMania, and the guys from Rolling Stone brought me into it in what I thought of him, and that's LA Knight. I mean, he's 40, and his career is exploding.
Right.
Who's that sound like?
Similar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he worked 20 years.
Right.
Like, I'm a huge fan of both of those guys. Like, huge fan. And I can remember coming up to Sammy. I want to say it was not last year's Royal Rumble, but maybe it was the Rumble before. And and it was before the bloodline thing started, which I thought was so money. I mean, so money. And bringing Sammy in, oh my God. And my favorite moments were where, Roman, I think Roman's as good as it gets right now. And back then, like for years, he has been. But he tries to, he doesn't try. He is a badass. And he ain't laughing at shit. But there are times where Sammy got him the friggin' like almost break character.
Yep.
It was like watching Saturday Night Live.
Right.
Like it was just so close. And Roman's like, you motherfucker. He's like,
Yep.
he's trying not. And sometimes, I think one time, I believe I remember one time where he just laughed out loud. Like he couldn't hold it in anymore. I mean, I love so much. Like I used to tape Raw and SmackDown and just fire through shit, like I'll pick what I want to watch. And I'm still like that today, but I don't fast forward as much, and I think the talent and the storylines since Triple H has taken over. I mean, you're talking about a guy who was 14-time world champion, couldn't be at any higher grade in the business. And I think the fans really see how much he loves the business, man.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
and cares about the boys and the girls. He cares. Like, he really cares. And it's very obvious with his booking. And, I wish you guys saw the video that I did talking about the slap. And I compared, when I saw the slap, I was in Jamaica, and I had to make a video about it, and I got one of my guys to edit in all the, the WCW stuff, the NWO, the takeover, Hulk turning, and then I brought it to the slap. And how, I mean, my phone, my text. Everybody was like, what the fuck is happening? Because what was so great about it, it was reality based. And that's what our big run, Kevin Scott, I mean, they were the icons, man. Those cats coming in, and I'm going to put myself over, like, that don't happen without me. And maybe that was a little bit of heat I had on top of that, but that's what lit the business up. Like, you got to fire this business up, and getting those guys there, you can ask Bischoff, man, he'll tell you. Like, I was the conduit, because they were both my boys. And for them to come through, and my career never happens without Dusty, without Jake, without Eric, without question, because without getting the breaks that he gave me, but he never gave me the push, and he never paid me. When I got my multi-million-dollar deal, Harvey Schuller gave me that contract. And I told him, I said, I love you, and I know you love me, but I'm not doing my money with you. If I want to stay here, I'm getting paid. And without Kevin Scott, and of course, Randy and Hope, all those guys were so pivotal, but Scott and Kev were the most pivotal, because it was my idea for me to turn on the NWO, but Kevin pitched it, because there was no way I'm going to tell Eric, yeah, here's my idea. And they give me, and I took the shirt on, and I hugged Kev, and Scott goes to grab my hand, and he goes away, bang, and Kevin goes over the top rope, like, I'm on his tail. So I want to drop the two biggest names in the business right now. It never would have worked. But Kev, the big guy, he could make it work. And it was supposed to go 3 weeks. No, and then they come out to the ring and say, now, either now or you're dead. And third week, it got bumped. And then it got bumped. And then it got bumped and bumped and bumped and bumped. I want to say it was 10 or 11 weeks later. Now, without Kevin Nash, it never happens. And he's like, we're fucking doing it tonight when we got to New Orleans. But I was ready to quit. I was ready to give my notice. And it pissed me off so bad. But here's the lesson. I'm going to leave you guys with this. Everything that's ever happened to me that looks like it's the worst thing ever has turned out to be the best thing to ever happen to me. Mm. When I got hit by a car when I was 12 years old, hit my right knee, my face bounced off the hood. I flew 42 feet from impact. I've been playing football for 3 years. I was going to be playing defensive end for the friggin' Dallas Cowboys. Like, it was going to happen. You know why? Because I saw it. And at 12 years old, I knew it. I hit by that car, you're never playing football again. And I started to play basketball, which I sucked at. And I sat on the bench when I finally made the team, and I never let that happen again. It taught me work ethic, which is inside my Hall of Fame ring. It taught me work ethic equals dreams. And that's what's on the inside of my ring. Exclamation point, DDP. Later in life, I tear my rotator cuff. Bill Watts is in charge at the time. And I know he's going to let me go, so I got to let myself go. And I got to get away to be able to come back. Jake Roberts moves in with me. Best thing that ever happened to me. I break my back. My wrestling career is over. I create DDP Yoga. It's not only the best thing to ever happen to me, it's the best thing to happen to everyone who has ever done it. It is not only changed lives, it's saved lives, and a lot of them. And it's. I don't know if it's because of the resurrection of Jake the Snake, but it has helped so many souls get sober that really need to. It's mind-boggling how many souls it has helped get sober. Like, mind-boggling to me. And Jake, to be really honest, he was not the biggest fan of the movie. In the beginning, yes, but having to see it over and over and over again, it wore on him. Because who wants to see themselves like that? Mm. Then Jake went out and started doing his comedy tour, which is ridiculously funny. If you're a wrestling fan, it's ridiculous. If you're not, it's funny. Because he's just got the greatest stories. He's one of the best storytellers ever. And, you know, Jake, he met so many young kids who came to the show and thanked them for giving my dad back. I got my dad back, hugging him, crying. Like, that documentary has changed and saved a ridiculous amount of lives. And if anybody wants to see it who doesn't even really heard about it, or you think you saw it, because if you think you saw it because you saw some videos on YouTube, you didn't see shit. Go to Amazon Prime. It's up there, along with Relentless, another documentary that we wrote, I should say we produced and did. And it was really the story of me breaking my back to where we are now. If you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to do something that's bigger than, then you want to watch that documentary because it'll inspire the fuck out of you. But it also shows you where I go down, but I come right back up again. Everything that has ever happened to me that looks like it's the worst thing has turned out to be the best thing. And I'm going to leave you with this, and I'm out the door. I'm sitting in Cody's trailer. You might not have seen it yet on Peacock. Well, it's on YouTube, actually. And it's the behind the curtain of the whole run, leading right up to Rock and everything. By the way, Rock, the biggest star in the world, and he's one of us. The Mania was already sold out, but The Rock being involved and having the vision to turn himself heel as the final boss. I mean, you can't write this shit. Like, with Vince being gone and Rock is on the board of TKO, it's like, you can't write this shit. And The Rock elevated everyone. Everyone.
For sure.
Cody looked at me, and I knew when he found out that it looked like it was going to be Rock and Roman. You can tell when you watch him in behind the curtain, it was killing him. I mean, I saw it, and he wasn't afraid to talk about it on behind the curtain on that documentary. But I will tell you the same thing I told him, and he will admit it was the best thing. There was two things I said to him. Breathe, bro. No, I mean deep breath. And exhale. You start to feel that anxiety and that stress, breathe. That's the best thing I teach anyone who's listening to me right now. Breathe. Why? When you're deep breathing, you activate the hypothalamus, which is connected to the pituitary gland in your brain, which helps you deal with stress and anxiety due to the physiological effect it has on our nervous system. When you're deep breathing and controlled, thoughtful breathing, you are sending neurohormones to inhibit stress-producing hormones, which triggers a relaxation response in the body. And I'm out on this. I told Cody, no matter what happens, it's going to be the best thing that ever happened to you. Because I know what that dark side looks like when you think it's the worst. But somehow, if you see it and you really believe it, it will find you. Tell me what kind of run Cody Rhodes is having right now.
Pretty great.
He's in the top 1%, bro.
Honestly, to me, I mean, I go back 50 years basically watching the sport. I think he's the greatest face in WWF/E since Bob Backlund, but that's me.
He's hitting it on all cylinders.
Yep.
And he breathes, and he chills, and he produces. And you've never seen it. I used to grab cameras from people and do the flicker and do no, relax, because we had those little yellow things, right? And I do a snapshot. I watch him do that. He goes a step farther. He signs people's shit on the way out. If he's working a main event, he's going to sit around and talk to you afterwards. Nobody's done that. Nobody. And a lot of guys don't think it's not sustainable. It will be for Cody Rhodes.
Yep.
Well, Dallas,
It will be.
Dallas, I want to thank you for taking the time out. I want to thank Sal Corrente for hooking us up with you. You're quite the individual. And, again, thank you so much for spending the time with us.
Hey, good time, boys. I'm glad you enjoyed the stories.
All right, my friend.
Absolutely.
Thank you all for joining us. This has been Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast. That is the great Diamond Dallas Page, not only a great wrestler, but a great human being. Jimmy, we'll see you next week. All right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thanks, boys. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you. All right, we'll see you all next week. God bless.